Alright, so I guess I'll go over the list first. So this isn't the traditional Lotus list that most people are going around playing. The new addition to this list is Dark Petition and Behold the Beyond, which was a pretty sick ad, since now you're not as reliant on Pour of the Pages plus Peer to combo, but now you can actually just tutor your win cons, and once you cheat into Omniscience, instead of drawing towards your kill, you could just tutor for it and play through a Narset that way. So that was a really big upgrade for the deck, and that's how I basically was able to top 8. I was able to beat multiple Narsets and be able to fight through all of those hate cards. So yeah, I guess I'll go over my matches. Alright, so round 1. Opponent reveals Gigantha, so it makes me believe it's Ascendancy. Typically, Ascendancy game 1, they can have a few disputes and sometimes silence main deck. So those are the few hate cards that we have to play around. Generally, Lotus is a bit faster than Ascendancy, I want to say. So overall, I think the matchup's pretty good. On 6 here, I believe I'm able to keep this because 1, I'm on a draw. 2, I have a temple. Normally, you want to be pretty aggressive into finding Lotus plus Destiny stage, but I felt pretty comfortable just keeping this hand. So I scry Shimmer. Shimmer is actually a really good draw here because it gives me looks towards Sylvan Scrying, Lotus Field, or Thespian stage. So that's 11 cards to look towards. And obviously you want to Shimmer before Sylvan Scrying because that's just more looks. If you find Thespian stage or Lotus, then you could just scrying for the other card. So here we did find Thespian stage. So now next turn we could just go scrying for Lotus Field. Pretty standard from this point on. Opponent, one thing I noticed is like, opponent doesn't have much going on for them. They don't have any Caryatids, they didn't have an Ascendancy, so makes me believe they have some sort of interaction heavy hand, because adding Gigantha there kind of makes me believe their hand is kind of weak. If they had more cantrips, I believe they would have tried to cast those instead of adding Gigantha to hand. So that's something to take a note of. And then here they just pass without casting Gigantha. So it definitely smells like some sort of interaction that they're trying to hold up. But obviously, like, here it's kind of free to cast like the Vizier, the Pour. And I think this turn I ended up going for an ultimatum. So we lead with Pour, we kind of whiff. Oh, I should probably back up here. So one thing to note about Dark Petition and getting ultimatum is that your mana is actually very awkward, since Dark Petition adds triple black to your mana pool, but ultimatum requires double blue, double black, and triple green. So the reason why I want a Dark Petition before I cycle Vizier is so that I could use one of the black that Dark Petition produces and use that to cycle into untapping Lotus Field, which gives me the color requirements to cast ultimatum. Because now, since I have the Vizier to cycle with, sorry, the black to cycle with, I can untap a Lotus Field, use the Lotus Field for triple green, and then tap the Botanical Sanctum for the last blue I need. Drawing Masterminds was really sick, because if they do have Dispute or Silence here, the next turn I can most likely Mastermind for what was I gonna say? Master's Minds for probably like another pour, or if I'm able to draw like a hidden strings next turn, then I can go Omniscience and then Master's Minds for the kill. So I go for Ultimatum. They have Silence. Unsure if it was correct to cast Ultimatum there, since it was kind of obvious that the opponent had interaction. I should stop this. They left up 1 blue again, so makes me feel like they may have more interaction, but I still don't know. I don't think I play around second Silence, since 1 Silence is normally stock in the main. Or sorry, it's not stock, but like if they are to main deck, 1 Silence is mostly just one of. And then here they tap out for Ascendancy, and I'm just free to go Omniscience into the kill. So if I didn't draw the Dark Petition, then instead of going Master's Minds getting Approach, I could go Master's Minds get Behold of Beyond to go get Granted Dark Petition, and then I could just Granted for the Approach, cast Approach, Dark Petition for Approach again, and then kill that way. But since I drew Dark Petition, I could just skip that step, and we were able to take game 1 there. So game 2, I'll show you how I sideboarded. So I board out the 4 Grazers, a Forest, and a Shimmer possibility, and I brought in the 2 Thought Distortions. Pretty sure you used Stefan Hazard just got. It's all Hasara and Stefan who made this list. Like, they get all the credit for that. So I boarded in the 2 Thought Distortions, Natural States, and the Stern Dismissal for the 4 Grazers, a Forest, and a Shimmer. You could normally board out the Forest when they don't have Field of Ruin. It's like pretty free to cut. So now it's all, yeah, it's all mine now. So this hand doesn't have double Lotus Field, but with a Natural State and Temple of Mystery, felt pretty good just keeping. Like, I don't... There could be an argument to be like more aggressive in finding double Lotus Field, since the deck does require... Like, you do need double Lotus Field to basically go off. They tap out for Ascendancy, Natural State. Vizier was a nice draw. I ended up hardcasting Vizier because this can act as a second Lotus Field, since with strings, I can untap the Vizier and untap Lotus Field. So it acts as 2. So from here, I can go Vizier untap, use Hidden Strings to untap both Vizier and Lotus Field, and start to combo from there. Unfortunately, they do have Silence, so that's kind of whatever. We just have to pass. And unfortunately, they were able to like Awakening, and then oh, Stefan, thank you for the follow. They untap, they have Awakening plus Alpine Moon, so I'm pretty sure it's like kind of safe to just skip it up and go next. Opponent has Silence and Alpine Moon, so that's a lot of hate to fight through. We've seen this weekend also is new improved Sigla sponsored charity. Oh, what's up, Keaton? It is just a BG. Didn't really get a good look at the 6. Sorry, 7. Okay, I just clicked through it again, but it was probably just unkeepable. This 6 is pretty good. I could just bottom to a hold, and then Shimmer gets me to look at Sylvan Scrying or Thespian Stage. So I felt pretty good keeping this. Getting this low if you're card in your opening hand. I mean, you gotta be good at drawing it to play the deck. What can I say? Shimmer finds Thespian Stage, which is really nice. Yo, my best tip, just draw him at Lotus Fields every game, and Thespian Stage. Just always having your 7. With a Grazer, can't be stopped. So the reason why I played out Thespian Stage last turn instead of playing out the Lotus Field is because they showed Alpine Moon game 2. So had I just played out the Lotus Field, if they follow up with Alpine Moon, that kind of breaks me off because I won't be able to copy next turn. As well, if they do play Alpine Moon this turn, then I could just run out the Lotus Field without sacking 2 lands. So here I just go for stage copy. Thoughts on the 5-0 ban on standard? You know what? I'm surprised you know there was a ban today. So opponent did have Alpine Moon, and I drew Natural State, which is like best possibles. Because now they need double, like 2 forms of interaction for me to like, for them to beat this. They go iteration, reveal Steam Vents. And I actually ended up messing up here. So end of turn, I went for Stern Dismissal onto the Alpine Moon to bait out Mystical Dispute. But in reality, what I should have done was led with Natural State. Because if they do have Mystical Dispute, then that forces them to tap out. And then I could go Stern Dismissal onto the Alpine Moon. The way I sequenced it here is that I Stern Dismissal on Alpine Moon, they dispute. And then if I go Natural State and untap with Pour, it loses to a second Mystical Dispute. So I should have sequenced it the other way around. Here I just have to jam the Pour. And luckily they don't have Dispute, and I was just able to combo off. I have a bunch of mana floating, and then eventually just Pour Over the Pages finds Ultimatum, and then Ultimatum is the deterministic kill. Getting Dark Petition, Behold the Beyond. This is happening a bit fast. Let me know if you want me to slow it down to see, so you guys can see it happen. But it's just Hidden Strings to untap my Lotus Fields, cast Omniscience, Battle Recovery onto Behold the Beyond. Behold gets Fae, Dark Petition, Masterminds. It doesn't really matter which 3 cards you get, as long as you're able to go get Approach and then cast Approach again afterwards. So that was round 1. Round 2. Hand has double Sylvan Scrying, can't really mull. I'm playing against Twinless Twin. He doesn't reveal Giganta, but I know prior to the tournament that he's been testing Ascendancy with no Giganta. So that's why I have, that's why I put him on. He leads with Triumph, so that's probably correct. Based on Ascendancy. So here, I have an interesting spot where I could go Sylvan Scrying for Thespian Stage, or I could just play Grazer and put Temple of Mystery into play. I figured that next turn I'm able to go Sylvan Scrying for Thespian Stage anyways, so might as well put the Temple of Mystery into play this turn so I get 1 extra mana to work with next turn. That also opens up lines where I can go draw Hidden Strings, draw Vizier, and maybe combo from there with the 1 extra mana in play. And then Temple of Mystery does find hidden strings. And I thought about this hidden strings for a while, and after looking at my hand, I came to the conclusion of that I'm able to go Sylvan Scribe for Thespian Stage, copy, untap, strings again, Dark Petition for Pour, recovery for strings, and then I'm able to cast the Pour of the Pages after all of that. So here he taps out. Luckily I didn't die there. So yeah, I go get Thespian Stage. Copy, strings, untap. So I have 6 mana. Unfortunately, if I cast Dark Petition here, I only have 4 mana left over it, so I can't cast Pour. But since I have the recovery, I am able to go for it. My Pour of the Pages kind of whiffs. So now I'm stuck with an Ultimatum, Behold the Beyond, and Fey Wishes. I end up just grabbing a Natural State to take care of the Ascendancy. He untaps and plays a Narset, which surprised me. Hey, Alex and Jubir, MTG, thank you for the follow. Sorry, not the follow, for the raid. I'm currently going over my Pioneer Showcase from last weekend, and we're currently on round 2 of the tournament. So yeah, my opponent plays Narset game 1, which caught me off guard. And with what I have right now, if I'm able to draw a blue source, if I'm able to draw an untapper, then I'm able to combo off and kill. I think. Sorry, I don't remember. Since I have the Behold the Beyond in hand, I don't know if there's a deterministic kill had I drawn an hidden strings, because I won't be able to cast Behold to go get the last 2 strings of my deck. Here, I go into the tank quite a bit. You can see like my clock's at 17 minutes. I ended up figuring out a way to beat the Narset over 2 turns, where I cast Behold the Beyond this turn, getting Ultimatum strings. Pass the turn. Next turn, my plan is 2 strings, Ultimatum. And then Ultimatum gets Balagate Recovery, Omniscience, Dark Petition, which allows me to go Dark Petition for Omniscience, Balagate Recovery onto Behold the Beyond, and then kill from there. Oh, you had a round 5 opponent? I was actually like really scared of your deck. I'll get to that match later on. But you had a lot of interaction game 1 and 2, so I was worried I wasn't able to fight through all of that. So yeah, I go for an Ultimatum, getting Omniscience, Dark Petition, Ballad Recovery. If Twinless gives me Omniscience plus Dark Petition, he's just dead, because Dark Petition goes get Recovery. Recovery picks up the Behold the Beyond. Same thing with Recovery plus Omniscience. He's just dead. So he's forced to give me Dark Petitions plus Recovery. And then from this spot, I'm able to go Tutor for Omniscience, Recovery back the Behold. And with the hidden strings I got the previous turn, allows me to generate enough mana to hardcast Omniscience and then Behold to kill. I picked up a Swan Song just in case, like if he does have a way to remove Omniscience or some form of interaction that he didn't use yet. Game 2, same way I sideboarded game 1. Sorry, not game 1, round 1. I boarded out the 4 Grazes, Forest, and Shimmer for 2 Thought Distortions. 3 natural states and Stern Dismissal. First hand had like no Lotus Field, so couldn't really keep. This hand kind of sucks. I have Omniscience in hand, but I can't really throw away a hand with Lotus and Thespian Stage. So I'll just speed through the first few turns as pretty standard. So in this spot, I have an option between casting Lotus Field. Sorry, not casting, like playing the Lotus Field, or I could just hardcast the Vizier. I go for hardcast Vizier because it just generates more mana next turn, I believe. So now, since I drew Hidden Strings, I am able to generate even more mana since I did play the Vizier last turn. So he's wrapping either Dispute or Silence. I end up getting double Hidden Strings, which gives me a bunch of mana. I think it's... yeah, it lets me hardcast Omniscience while playing through Mystical Dispute, which is insane. And now I could just tutor out the Behold Beyond and then Behold for the kill. And that was round 2. Round 3, I got an unfortunate pairing into Chonky Red. The matchup's like pretty hard because they have Eidolons plus the Gatekeepers. This hand's quite solid. They go Gatekeeper onto my Sylvan Scrying, and I'm feeling like pretty dead because my hand doesn't really do much, and it's hard for me to just beat the Gatekeeper here. I do have the Blast Zone, so given enough time, I could beat it. And here, I was put in a position where I think I had to go for it this turn and try to beat the Gatekeeper. Because had I let them untap, then I was taking minimum 6. And then that gives me less spells to cast through Gatekeeper. I cast Shimmer. Fortunately, it kind of whiffs. So we just go next. Sideboarding. Let's see what I ended up cutting: the Swan Song, a Shimmer, a Recovery, an Ultimatum, and a Forest. So kind of just trimming down on some of more and more expensive spells. And I brought in 3 Anger of the Gods, the 2 Ugins, and just Stern Dismissal as a way to interact with their Eidolon Gatekeeper. So this is a 6, I believe, and this hand's pretty good. I have the option between putting back Anger plus Ugin or Ugin. And I'm not sure what's correct to put back since Anger is cheaper. And since Anger, like, I could go Anger into and follow up into a kill, given that I have more mana. But Ugin could just take over the game by itself. So I ended up keeping the Ugin and bottoming Anger. So here I'm just looking for another land that can sack to Lotus Field. Unfortunately found Botanical Sanctum. So last turn I tanked for a bit and wondered if it was better for me to cast Vizier or to just play the Lotus Field and pass. They only have the 4 Lightning Strikes as a way to remove Vizier, and I figured that the 1 extra card from Vizier doesn't really matter. So I went to hardcast it as a way to give myself a chance to cast Ugin next turn. And at the same time, it doesn't cost me that much since I'm still able to copy that Lotus Field with Thespian Stage. So the only downside was myself losing a card from Vizier, which was fine, I believe. So here they hit me with Scab Clan. I have to use Hidden Strings to get enough mana to cast Ugin. And then I put down a 6. Next turn I go down to 2 off the Den attack. So I really need to draw something here. I end up drawing another Ugin. So backing up a bit, my hand was Master's Mind Ugin plus a Yavimaya. I have to find a way to kill this turn, so I thought my best out was going Master's Mind Acquisition, grabbing Vizier, and cycling Vizier into a Pour of the Pages, and try to combo from that spot. So I did hit the Pour off Vizier, which was pretty sick, since I have enough mana to cast Pour, but unfortunately my Pour of the Pages kind of whiffed and I just died. There was no way for me to interact with the Ramen Up runes, so I was just dead through that. So we're 2-1, going to round 4. My opponent revealed Giganta, so I'm assuming it's Ascendancy again, which I don't mind. I think the blue decks are a good matchup for Lotus. This hand has Lotus Field, 2 lands plus Scrying. I remember this game. So I end up being able to put Ultimatum on stack turn 4, and it's a deterministic kill since I had enough mana floating. But I kind of inted myself, and you're about to see why. So not much is happening here. So I could actually, next time I could go Omniscience. So here I have enough mana to go Omniscience into Ultimatum, which should just be a free win. But for some reason, in my head, I was like, I don't want to show them like the Dark Petition plus Behold package. I want them to think I'm like standard Lotus Field. So I'm gonna try to make a pile that doesn't show that. So I went for Peer, Recovery, and Pour of the Pages, I think. And I don't know why I put the Recovery into the pile, because the Recovery doesn't do anything here. I should have just gone like a Master's Mind plus like Granted. So they give me Pour plus Recovery, and that's where I realized where I fucked up. Like, I have nothing to target with the Recovery, so I grab back Temple of Mystery. I cast the Pour, and I find nothing, so I have to pass the turn here. I find Master's Mind, so I scratch at the top. But unfortunately, they untap and play Nahiri, and they're able to take out my Omniscience. This was just like stupid for me. I should have just gone for the kill and just like not be fancy about it. So now I have to figure out a way to kill without Omniscience, which is a bit harder since with an approach kill, I need to generate a lot of mana. So here, once again, I Dark Petition before I cycle Vizier. So I can use the 1 black mana from Dark Petition to cycle Vizier to untap into the color requirements for Ultimatum. So the 3 cards I got here were Peer into the Abyss, Balagate Recovery for Hidden Strings, because I just needed more mana, and a Pour of the Pages. So from this spot, what I'm thinking is that I have to try to kill them over multiple turns instead of one, just because it's hard for me to generate all that mana. I don't know what happened here. I think the replay got bugged, because I should have mana untapped and a hidden strings. Okay, it seemed like the replay just bugged out. But yeah, I think that's what ended up happening, was that I Fave Wishes for... I didn't actually get Approach. I ended up getting an Ugin, and I used Ugin to wipe the board, and then was able to like keep the board in check with Ugin while figuring out a kill later on. Sorry, that replay kind of just broke. But we won that game. So game 2, I boarded very minimally. I just took out the Forest and a Grazer for 2 Thought Distortions and Discern Dismissal. Post board, they can have cards like Notion Thief and potentially board into Deafening Silence. If they show me Deafening Silence, then I'll board into the 3 Natural States game 3, but it's unclear to me if they do have it or not. So this hand, quite solid, has 2 Lotus Fields and a Shimmer to find some action. So here I wanted to leave up Swan Song in case they go for a Bring to Light. They were fortunate enough to have Omnath into Field Passage again. Into Bring to Light, I believe. I count with Swan Song. They also have the Dispute. Niv finds them a Nahiri, and they also revealed a Deafening Silence. So that's a good note to keep in mind for game 3. So here they play Nahiri and have lethal next turn, so I'm forced to find the kill here. I lead with Pour. Maybe I'm supposed to lead with Shimmer to find hidden strings, but at that point I think it's hard to beat a Dispute. Had I led with Shimmer, I go down to 4 mana. Hidden strings down to 3 mana, play a land. I untap both Lotus Fields. And then I could Pour, still playing around Dispute. So yeah, I think I messed up this turn. I could have led with Shimmer. Had I whiffed on hidden strings, then I could just play the land and then play Pour. Either way, I'm losing to Dispute. So might as well try to find an out to that. So game 3, I boarded up to 2 Natural States, so I didn't bring in all 3, which might have been a mistake. Hand's great. Get to keep 7 with 2 Lotus Fields and some cantrips. You Sky, that's been staged to the bottom, no point in keeping that. Thought Distortion was a really nice draw. So here I go Sylvan Scrying for Blast Zone as a way to keep Deafening Silence in check. They untap and play Notion Thief, which is fine, since the way the deck is constructed, I could beat that. They play another Curated and pass here, I believe. So since I'm under no real pressure, I believe I just go for a Thought Distortion just to make sure the coast is clear for like the next few turns. They show us double Bring to Light, Mystical Dispute, and a Wandering Mind. So now anything I draw here is pretty good. Or, sorry, not anything I draw here, but like I could most likely combo next turn. Do you draw Niv? Which is actually pretty good for me because now I have perfect info knowing that they can't have any form of interaction. They reveal a Dovin's Veto, another Wandering Mind, and Nihiri. So it basically tells me that I have to try to go for it this turn. Drawing Hidden Strings was sick. Because like now I gotta go Hidden Strings, untap 2, Dark Petition for Ultimatum. Making sure I have the right color requirements. Especially because I do need 1 blue floating after casting Ultimatum to kill. So I'm able to get Ultimatum, 3 black off Dark Petition, tap the Lotus Field for green, and have 2 blue left over. So Ultimatum gets the standard Behold the Beyond, Omniscience, and Dark Petition. They give me Omniscience, which is most likely a mistake, because Dark Petition just demonic tutors for anything in my deck. Normally, it's incorrect to give Omniscience unless it's Omniscience Peer plus Pour. In that case, it is correct to give Omniscience plus Pour of the pages, because then instead of drawing half my deck, I only have 3 looks to draw more action. But yeah, I got a Behold for Master's Mind, Thought Distortion. I got Thought Distortion just because why not, I guess. It doesn't really matter what the third card is, as long as you're able to go grab the approach and a way to find approach from your deck. So we go up to 3-1. Here we're playing against an opponent that played against a friend last round, so I was fortunate enough to know the matchup going in. They're playing Blue-Red Dragons with multiple Izzet Charms, Spell Pierces, a bunch of cheap counter and interaction. And a lot of cheap threats, such as like Sprite Dragon. So the matchup, in theory, I think is pretty hard. Just because early pressure plus disruption is hard to beat. This hand just needs to find 1 more land and I could have double Lotus Field. So I ended up keeping... I have 3 looks for a land, which is pretty good. Luckily, I draw on my first look. I bottom Thespian Stage because there's no reason to find another... Sorry, I kept Thespian Stage here. Because since I know the matchup and they do have Spell Pierce, if I play Scrying on 2, there's a good chance to get Spell Pierce. So keeping the Thespian Stage was kind of like an insurance in case they did have it. And yeah, they go Izzet Charm, counter my Sylvan Scrying. I untap. Feel pretty good about just playing land into Scrying. Unfortunately, they did have Spell Pierce, but I have Swan Song, which is why I played the Thespian Stage out this turn. So here they just do more cantrips. I untap, copy Lotus Field. Here they play Enigma Drake. So now I'm just thinking I have to play around Spell Pierce and potentially like a Mystical Dispute. Since I drew Vizier, it allows me to play around Mystical Dispute. So hopefully I would cycle, yeah. And now I'm just able to cast my Pour over the pages without having to worry about playing around anything. So I go Pour. Now I have the option to go Dark Petition. Leaves me with 1 blue floating. So I have blue floating plus 3 black. I can tap this for green and tap Botanical Sanctum for blue, which gives me the requirements to cast Ultimatum, but I won't have a blue floating afterwards. and it also doesn't play around a Spell Pierce. So I think, yeah, I ended up going for Shimmer looking for Hidden Strings. I was lucky enough to hit. So now I can go Hidden Strings into Dark Petition for Ultimatum while playing around a potential Mystical Dispute or Spell Pierce. And yeah, from here it's just Omniscience into Pure, draw my entire deck. Or I guess half. So sideboarding, kind of same way I sideboard against Phoenix. I bring in 2 Thought Distortions, and I also brought in the Stern Dismissal because of cards like Sprite Dragon plus Drake. Normally I wouldn't bring in Stern Dismissal against regular Phoenix, but in this matchup specifically, I felt like it would have been good. This hand's just like insane. I got Grazer into double Lotus Field plus Thought Distortion. It's probably like my best opener against them. Temple doesn't really do anything, so I put that to the bottom. Here I don't cast Shimmer, I believe, because since I'm going my plan is to Thought Distortion them, no real reason for them to get value to like counter my Shimmer. I'm cool just holding it and casting it later on. So yeah, I Thought Distortion them, see double iteration is a try and Spell Pierce and Aether Gust. So I feel pretty good about this. Now with the Temple of Mystery, if I am able to draw a Yavimaya Coast, then I can cast the Ultimatum next turn and go for a kill. Because then I could tap... Sorry. Can I go for a kill? Because I could tap for this with blue, green... Sorry, black, green, blue, blue. I can't have the determinants kill, but I can still go for like Pour plus Omniscience. Distortion is so fucking gross. It is. Dude, it gets even better later on. So now I cast Shimmer. If I find a Hidden Strings, I'm able to combo. Obviously, I hit. There's no doubt. And I'm still able to play around a Mystical Dispute. Had they drawn one. Oh, Claudio. So now I'm up to 4-1. So playing against an unknown opponent. Okay, let me restart this. So round 6. I'm on the play. I need to draw a green source in the top 2 cards, so I felt like I could do better on 6. This hand doesn't have a Lotus Field or a way to find it, so I'm most likely going to 5. Yeah. And then here I do have double Lotus Field. So I could put back... I think I put back Thespian Stage plus Swan Song. Interesting. Okay, I put back Dark Petition, which I don't know if it's correct looking back, because I do want something to do with my mana on turn 6 once I do have 2 copies of Lotus Field in play. So now I'm just thinking why I wanted to keep the Swan Song. Yeah, I agree, Will. Game 1, I think I am supposed to keep the Dark Petition over the Swan Song. We end up drawing Yavimaya. So I end up going someone's going for Temple of Mystery since I already have the Lotus Field plus Destiny Stage. And I don't need to go get Blast Zone since it seems like I'm against Phoenix. There's a bad idea to play a Vizier since it is game 1. They can just have a Lightning Axe or like an Impulse. They go Chart Pitch Phoenix, consider plus off, so they're able to flip Thing and bring back Phoenix. So I need to find something next turn, otherwise I just die. Kind of wish I had that Dark Petition over this Swan Song right now, but I draw Dark Petition for turn. So now Vizier Dark Petition lets me cast Pour of the Pages. Pour of the Pages finds Grazer, Ultimatum, Mastermind. And then here I go into the tank thinking what I can do. What I can a line that I was considering was like I can Mastermind for Hidden Strings, untap these two. That's 0 mana. But then I can go Recovery pick up strings to +1 to go up to 7. But unfortunately, that doesn't give me the color requirements for Ultimatum. So I just end up going Mastermind for Stern Dismissal, bounce your Thing in the ice, and hope to draw something over the next few turns. So if I draw the Ava Maya Coast, I'm able to Ultimatum, and, of course I draw it. Getting Omniscience plus Pour of the Pages, and this is just a deterministic kill because my opponent doesn't have the Ballad Recovery. So even if my Pour of the Pages whiffs, I can Recovery, pick up Dark Petition, go get Behold Beyond, and from there, have the kill. So I think this is my first round against actual Phoenix. I bring in 2 Thought Distortions and board out Grazer plus Forest. And since the deck plays 3 Dark Petitions, that's just 3 Demonic Tutors for Thought Distortion, which is just insane. So this hand, I end up keeping. It doesn't have a Thespian Stage, but again, Shimmer gives me looks for a Thespian Stage or Someone's Scrying. So I feel it was reasonable to keep. Behold a pretty bad draw here. Like, you almost never want to draw this card. I believe Shimmer whiffed. I hard cast Fave Wishes because I do want to attack down the Narset. I draw Scrying, but I think I end up going Scrying for stage, but play Temple of Mystery here. Yeah, there's no real reason for me to play Thespian Stage since it doesn't do much. I'm not able to copy it or anything. And having the Temple in play this turn opens up lines next turn where an extra mana will help out. So here I have 3, 4, 5 mana to work with. No strings. So I think I just pass the turn since I can't do much and end up copying Lotus Field end of turn. Damn, this would have been way better had I recorded this while I was playing. I think I could give a better explanation of what I'm thinking through at the time. So here with 4 open mana, I believe the play here is to lead with Dark Petition So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. I leave with Dark Petition, have 2 mana floating. They can hardcast Dispute, but then I could cycle Vizier into untap Lotus Field to pay. At the same time, they don't know I'm going to Dark Petition for, so there's a chance they don't cast Mystical Dispute on it. Okay. I end up playing out the testing stage because now I'm showing them I can pay for the Mystical Dispute. So that gives them a less of an incentive to cast it, because I'm just going to go for Thought Distortion here. Yeah, like I said in my post, Dark Petition came up clutch multiple times for me this tournament, and this is why. So they do have Dispute, and they're just casting it to get another counter off thing in the ice. They show me like 3 cantrips and a Fury. Oh, sorry, Chartercourse Expressive Iteration plus Fury. They draw pieces, so now I'm just like, okay, this is pretty good for them. Because now they can find another Dispute off of like the Disconsider. Did replay break? Oh. Sorry, this is very scuffed. Okay, well, I'll just try to give an explanation of what I'm trying to do next turn. So, oh my god. B Heath, MTG, thank you for the follow. What's Behold Beyond? It's Triple Demonic Tutor. So, next turn, I can tap Lotus Field, and both Lotus Fields for blue and black, cast Vizier, untap 1, and then I have the color requirements to cast Ultimatum. So, here, I'll pull it up. I did this a lot while I was playing. I pull up the notepad just to like keep track of my mana and make sure I have enough mana to cast Ultimatum. So I tap blue, blue, black, black, black off both of those fields. I use blue and black to Vizier untap one of my Lotus fields. And I tap the other Lotus field for green, green, green. So after all of this, I have... Sorry. Blue, black, untap 1, tap for green. So I have the Temple of Mystery plus the Thespian Stage left over. From there, I can Ultimatum into Omniscience, Dark Petition, Hidden Strings. Since I already have the Balagate Recovery, I can go... So now I have blue plus colorless floating. I'm getting Hidden Strings plus Dark Petition plus Omniscience. They can't give me Omniscience. So I Dark Petition for 3 more black. And then Dark Petition gets another... gets Omniscience. Hidden Strings plus 4 mana, so this plus 4. And I recovery back to strings for plus 5, which allows me to cast Omniscience and hardcast the Behold from my hand, if that makes sense. And then from there, I win that match. So we move up to 5-on-1, going to round 7. I have an unfortunate pairing into Zac. I know he's playing Blue-Red Phoenix, since he played against a friend the previous round. This hand's pretty solid. It has 2 lands plus double Lotus Field. interaction and port of the page is like is what I can ask for. So here I get to play the Lotus while holding up Yavimaya. So I could hold up this one song if I really want to. He's just casting a bit of cantrips, a bit of tap and tapping. He's firing off a lot of cantrips main phase, which makes sense because now he shows he's able to get back double Phoenix. So now I'm under some real pressure. From this spot, there's nothing I can do. Or not much I can do, sorry. I don't believe I'm in a threat of dying because if he attacks me for 6, I go down to 8. If he has temporal trespass, sorry, I have Swan Song, so I feel like pretty safe from dying. And I don't believe anything really matters other than like maybe a Narset. So he did end up having temporal trespass, which is sick because now I just get to go Swan Song, copy, untap, and most likely kill. And I just go for the pile of Dark Petition plus Behold. Yeah, you would definitely enjoy this deck. I'm not sure what happened here, but I don't know why my hand right now is just Omniscience double Hidden Strings. So, what was supposed to happen, sorry I played through it quite quickly, but what I was supposed to do was cast Ultimatum, get Dark Petition, Behold the Beyond, plus Omniscience. They can't give me Omniscience because then I just get to cast the Dark Petition for free to go get Behold. So they give me Behold plus Dark Petition. I put Dark Petition on the stack first, then I put Behold. Behold gets Hidden Strings, Balagate Recovery. Dark Petition gets Omniscience. I go strings to give myself enough mana to hardcast the Omniscience off of that I tutored from Dark Petition. And then from there, I'm able to cast Balagate Recovery targeting Behold the Beyond. And Behold Beyond gets Fate of Wishes, Dark Petition plus Master's Mind Acquisition. Which gets Approach, cast Approach, Petition for Approach, kill. So same thing, I board out. Interesting. Oh, so here against Phoenix, instead of boarding Injustice 2 Thought Distortion, I believe Zach had a good chance of playing an Alpine Moon in the sideboard. So I boarded out more of my Grazes plus the Forest and brought in 1 Stern Dismissal plus 1 Natural State as a hedge into Alpine Moon. So here, off the Shimmer, there was a Natural State and a Dark Petition. I think those were the only 2 relevant spells. He hasn't shown me Alpine Moon yet, so I just go ahead and take the Dark Petition. Especially because my hand is like, it generates a lot of mana. This Dark Petition can most likely find an ultimatum for a kill, assuming he has no interaction. He reveals Steam Vents. I draw Peer into the Abyss. Shows Narset revealing Invasive Surgery. So this card is like really hard to beat because there's no way for me to play around it, unlike Mystical Dispute or Spell Pierce. So my idea, or like my game plan, is for me to bait him into casting this evasive surgery and trying to combo through it, basically. So I draw another Dark Petition. So I believe I lead with Dark Petition here. I don't know if this was correct to lead with strings. I think I was supposed to go Dark Petition, getting Thought Distortion, and then casting Hidden Strings. But that doesn't play around a Mystical Dispute on my strings, so maybe not. So here I have the option of casting Hidden Strings again. So I go 4 down to 2, up to 8 mana. Dark Petition down to 6, which allows me to cast Thought Distortion. So I try to go for it. He also has a Mystical Dispute. I can use Vizier to untap a Lotus Field, but that doesn't really get me anywhere because I could pay for the Dispute, untap with strings, have 6 mana, but from 6 mana I don't have much going on. I could Dark Petition for Thought Distortion and try to Thought Distortion next turn, but that doesn't feel great to me, so I ended up just passing here. There's also a known Temporal Trespass, so I just feel pretty dead. So from this spot, I believe I lead with Dark Petition. He goes Mystical Dispute, I believe. No, another Evasive Surgery, which is pretty relevant information because now I know there's like multiple Invasive Surgeries to play around as well as disputes. So from this spot, with a Narset, it's very unlikely for me to win. So I just go Dark Petition, trying to get Thought Distortion, and just getting more information about his hand and his sideboard plan, which was pretty relevant because it shows me 2 Aether Gusts that he boarded in. So that's pretty good information going into game 3, knowing to play around Aether Gust if I need to cast a Ultimatum. Alright, my 7 is pretty solid. I get to go turn 1 Grazer into turn 2 Scrying for Stage and Lotus Field. So my plan here is just generate as much mana as before he can kind of set up like a Narset plus counter lock. So here against 3 open mana, I felt like there was really no reason for me to go for anything here. I could cast Dark Petition, but with 3 flowing mana afterwards, that doesn't do much. Sorry, I guess 5. I could cast Pour, but that doesn't... Like, it just gets countered by a Mystical Dispute. So I'm down to just go Sylvan Scrying, getting another Thespian Stage, and passing turn, copying Lotus Field at the end of turn. Like, there's no reason for me to do anything in this spot. And now he's kind of forced into like putting more pressure on me by like reducing the counter on Thingy Ice, and he's also seems like he's looking for more action. Do people play Field of Ruin and Pioneer? Not really. I think just like the 2-color control decks, so like blue-white control, blue-black control, I think those are the only 2 decks that play Field of Ruin. So here I draw Vizier. So I'm thinking the only card that he has as a way to interact with is Invasive Surgery and Mystical Dispute do you not try to activate it now to play around it? Against Phoenix, no, because they don't play Field of Ruin. Against decks that do play Field of Ruin, yes. But the reason why I didn't want to copy it right away because like I could still represent Mystical Dispute, Swan Song, just like some form of interaction that he has to think about instead of just tapping out on my turn. So here it's pretty free to just lead with Dark Petition, I believe, because if he goes Invasive Surgery on Dark Petition, then I have enough mana to cast Pour Over the Pages afterwards. Oh. Okay, well, I kind of skipped the turn, but what happened was Dark Petition resolved. I grabbed Thought Distortion, and Thought Distortion reveals Mystical Dispute, Chart, Gust, Pieces, Treasure Cruise. So just a casual like 5-for-1 there, and he's left with Spire Buff Canal afterwards. He draws into Consider, bends a pathway, plays a Spire Buff Canal that I know about. So his last card is unknown. I feel like I have to go for it. There's no point in waiting around against one random card. So I leave with Pour Over the Pages, kind of with Vizier, find another Pour. Pour finds Vizier and mana. So now that I found a Swan Song, I felt like I have this game locked up. Because now I can just go Recovery, picking up Dark Petition, going for Ultimatum. And I don't go for the standard pile of Behold, Dark Petition, Omniscience here. Instead, I go for, I think it was Omniscience, Peer. So I don't remember my third card, but I go for Recovery, Peer, and something else. Mainly because I didn't want to discard my Swan Song in case he is holding for some reason. Like, if I go for Omniscience and I cast Behold, I have to pitch a Swan Song, and if he drew something like a Stern Dismissal, then I get kind of blown out. So that's why I held this onto the Swan Song and didn't go for Behold. I felt like the only card I could really lose to in this spot was Stern Dismissal. So we beat Zach, going up to 6-1. And now we have a win-in. I look at my opponent, and I believe they were like a mono red one trick from their previous Goldfish results. Yeah, so before this weekend, they were just playing a bunch of mono red. A Bosch to add on to that. So I wasn't really sure what was happening. They didn't reveal a Bosch game 1. First two hands didn't put two Lotus Fields into play, so I mulled them. This hand's pretty good. On 5, I felt like I have to bottom the Grazer, add bottom Ultimatum. Oh, I guess bottom Recovery makes more sense. Because Shimmer gives me another look for double Lotus Field, and Ultimatum is my payoff. Opponent leaves with Blooming Marsh, and I'm pretty happy at this point, like in this spot, because this probably just means they're on Jund, and Jund is a pretty good matchup for me, or for Lotus. I Shimmer into another Sylvan Scrying, so now I have double Lotus Field going over 2 turns. Sorry, 3 turns. Because next turn I have to scrying for the Sage, but not have enough mana to copy. So here they go Goose, Devil. Still not really feeling much pressure. Okay, they put a Cat into play, but they don't have an Oven. So here I'm thinking I could play Botanical Sanctum and pass a turn. But in my head, it's like, well, they don't have Cat Oven. They have the Trail of Crumbs, and they have 5 mana. I want to try to kill them this turn, because it's likely they have a Citadel. And if they result still the next turn, there's a very good chance of me just dying. So in this spot, I felt like the need that I need felt the need to go for it. So Port of Pages finds Balagate Recovery, and it's actually enough mana for me to go Recovery into Hidden Strings, and Hidden Strings into Ultimatum with 2 blue floating, and with 2 blue floating, we have the deterministic kill. I'll try to pause in time. Did I not have it? Did I not have it there? I only have 1 black floating, so I guess I didn't have the color requirements. So they give me Omniscience plus Pour, so I have, which is smart because I only have 3 draws to look for more action. I almost whiff, but Vizier was lucky enough to find Balagate Recovery. I recover onto Shimmer since that's 1 more look, then bring it back Pour of the Pages. I don't need mana anymore. Shimmer finds Ultimatum, and an Ultimatum should be good enough to kill. Grabbing Dark Petition, Mastermind granted. Dark Petition goes get Behold to be on. I get Approach, cast Behold. And Behold just finds Approach. Okay, that was like a bit messy. So up a game against Jund, which is pretty sick because, like I said, Jund's a good matchup. So for sideboarding, I board out 2 Grazers, and I bring in 2 Grazers plus Swan Song, and I bring in 3 Leyline Sanctities since they could board into like Thoughtseize plus Gold Blanks. What I should have done was actually board in like the Angers plus Ugins as well. It's hard for them to be an resolved Ugin, as well as like Anger could be pretty backbreaking for them, like casted early. Some Giga Brain lines. It's all like I got all the lines from Stefan basically. Like he showed me how to like get the ultimatum pile before the tournament. So this hand on the draw, I think I keep this. I believe this is 6 already, but I need to find 1 more land with 2 looks to put double Lotus Field into play, and with Strings of Ultimatum, that's deterministic. So I believe I keep bottom Grazer. Yeah. I find Temple of Mysteries, so now I'm feeling really good as long as I don't get like Thoughtseize out of this game. Here they're able to play turn 3 Corvold, which is like pretty sick. What I board out for Angus and Ugins, I'll show you in a second. So here I Shimmer, find Peer into the Abyss, put Lotus Field into play. So here they have double oven. They thought these my hidden strings. And now I just have to hope I don't die in this spot. Because next turn, I believe I might be able to cast Ultimatum. So I copy Lotus Field, play Botanical Sanctum. Recovery onto hidden strings. Have recovery onto hidden strings using green. Cast hidden strings with blue floating. Then I can cast Ultimatum with 1 black floating afterwards. Is there a better sequence? Green, black. Green, black, blue. I could play Botanical Sanctum, tap Sanctum from green, tap Lotus Field for blue, tap Destiny Siege for black. So then I will have green, blue, 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 black with black floating. Use green, blue, and black to cast Balliger Recovery. Then off Hidden Strings, I use blue, blue. And then I have Lotus Field plus Thespian Stage, double Lotus Field untapped. And then here I could go tap for blue, blue, green, 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 and cast Ultimatum with 1 blue floating. And with the 1 blue floating, I can go get Hidden Strings, Dark Petition off of the Behold, and have a deterministic kill. Mapping out your mana is like very important before like you start casting on untappers, by the way. Prior to this tournament, I was I was fucking up a lot just because I wasn't mapping out my mana properly. And I would get into situations where I have like 1 black floating after casting Ultimatum. And that wouldn't be good enough. So here they put me down to 1. And now they're just digging. So I'm just like clenching that they don't draw anything. But unfortunately they found a cat to deal the last point of damage. So we end up going to game 3. So yeah, sideboarding for game 3. I made the changes. So I brought out all the Grazers. And then I brought in the 2 Ugins and 2 Anger of the Gods. Some general sideboarding consensus that I learned was that since I'm boarding in Ugin, I could like trim an Ultimatum. Since my opponent could have Go Blank, I could trim Dark Petition. So just like that kind of stuff. And I look at the 7, and I'm just thinking, it's just like, if I draw another land, then I'm in a like super sick spot. Because like having Leyline plus like double Lotus Field, my opponent also mulled a 5. So as long as I don't get screwed on my mana, I think I can win this game. I draw another Thespian Sage, so like we're set for turn 4. Drawing Vizier was nice because that allows me to cast an Ultimatum on turn 4. Sorry. Yeah, it does. With proper tapping, I believe. You cast Devil, doesn't really do anything. So here I go Pour of the Pages with blue floating. And I think I just end up going for an Ugin. Let's see. No, it's a deterministic kill because I tap Lotus Field for black, use a blue and a black floating, untap Lotus Field, tap for blue, tap for green, have 1 blue floating. Drawing the Hidden Strings just makes it way easier. And we win 2-1 to go 7-1 and lock up top 8. So here in the quarters, my opponent is a known Copium Fires player. So going to the matchup, the only card I really care about game 1 is like Narset. This hand's pretty good. I can Shimmer for either Scrying or Lotus Field. We kind of whiff here. So we just take a Temple of Mystery just as another look for Lotus. Birth of Miletus, that's fine. We draw Ultimatum. We just need to find a Lotus Field and we're good. They play Raven's Warning, that's fine. And then next turn with double strings and Vizier, we're able to combo off with Ultimatum. So as long as like nothing goes wrong here, we're pretty set. Opponent gets a peek of my hand, draw a card. They play Fires into Narset. I'm glad it's not Transmog because if they took my Sanctum, if they cast a Transmog, take my Sanctum, off of Agent, I think I'm still fine because I can go Desmond Stage, copy the Lotus Field. Sorry. Lotus Field, cycle Vizier, untap. Desmond Stage, untap. Copy, untap of the Hidden Strings. Have 2 Lotus Fields untap. Tap, tap for Hidden Strings. And then cast Ultimatum after that. So here, yeah. I start tap untapping my opponent. Cast Ultimatum with 4 mana floating. And then I get the standard pile that beats Narset, which is Dark Petition, Behold, plus Omniscience again. They can't give me Omniscience, so I resolve Behold first. Behold gets Strings Recovery. Dark Petition goes finds the Omniscience they didn't give me. Recovery back Behold. Behold for double Wish. Wish for approach. And we were able to take game 1. Here, 7 doesn't have double Lotus Field, also missing a second land, so can't really keep. I think I keep this hand, but I wouldn't be opposed to going to 5 either. Doesn't have double Lotus Field again. Yeah, so post board, what did I do? I cut a Dark Petition. Seems like I cut Dark Petition, 4 Grazers and a Dark Petition for 2 Thought Distortions, 2 Natural States, and a Stern Dismissal. Which seems pretty reasonable. Are the aggro decks still a problem? Yeah, the aggro decks are still a problem. I was just lucky and never played against any in Swiss. You draw a second Ultimatum, which is pretty bad. I'm just a sack and draw a Destined Stage anyways. So now I'm just like a Hidden Strings away from being able to combo on turn 4. Yeah. They played Red Auroric and was able to 10-0. I think here they played Narset, which is fine. You draw Balagay Recovery, doesn't really do much. I played Lotus Field here. I'm pretty sure they're just going to tap out for Chariot. They reveal cast out, so I have to be like kind of worried about cast out, since if I do cheat in Omniscience, they can respond with, they can flash and cast out. But since they do have fires in play, I don't have to worry about it this game. So here, like, yeah, nothing really matters. The only thing I'm really care about is like this Transmogrify. And I started thinking, I look at my deck and think if I could beat a Ford Winona. Unfortunately, I can't because Hidden Strings and Omniscience are both even. So I felt like I felt like I needed to counter this. So here they're just cycling castles, probably looking for a way to counter my Swan Song. They pick up Yorion, cast Yorion. Doesn't really do much except put lethal in play next turn. But with Pour the Pages, so I have 7 mana here. I can go up to 8 and tap in a way where I get the color requirements to cast the Ultimatum. So yeah, tap for blue, black, and colorless. Always want to tap for black and then try to use it as use the extra as a colorless, because then you get to untap with blue. And when you untap the 2 Lotus Fields, you can tap these for blue and green. And once you can tap for blue and green, you have the blue floating that you need to cast Ultimatum. Oh, sorry, cast Hidden Strings after Ultimatum. So yeah, with 1 blue floating, I go get Omniscience, Dark Petition, Behold. Strings, Omniscience, Recovery, Behold, Granted, Approach, Dark Petition, Approach. So now we gotta go to the semifinals. And we finally play against the aggro player, the Lurus, which is like the worst case scenario for this deck. 7 unplayable, 6 unplayable. Our 5, we're able to find double Lotus Field. But our hand's like pretty slow. Actually, yeah, if you crush the heroic player, you take first seed, you bump up Zac Breakers, you get in at 8. He gets in at 8. Very not fair to Claudio. No, of course, the heroic player has a standard start, turn 1 Soul Scar Mage, turn 2 Arcanist, probably has like good for battle. Sorry, Swift Spear, good for battle. You know, the classic. Just your average heroic draw, right? So I find Grazer, and it's like, okay, maybe I could live. You know, there's no way to have like anything to follow up with that. And then, you know, Reckless Rage, kill my Grazer. So going into game 2, I brought in 3 Ugins, 2 Anger of the Gods, and 1 Stern Dismissal. I cut the Forest, an Ultimatum, a Dark Petition, and 2 Shimmers, plus a Swan Song. Reckless Rage. That was the first thing I thought of when my opponent casted it. So on 6, I think this hand's like pretty good. It has an Anger. Temple of Mystery can go find another land. And here I think between like putting back Anger or Ugin. But I think the best case, or sorry, not the best case, but like I can use the Anger to buy time, and then it's pretty hard for them to beat Ugin. So that's why I ended up keeping both. Yeah, it's like they do outgrow Anger, but I still feel like it's necessary. We want to land, but not that land. Because it does pick off like the prowess creatures. And Arcanist. So here I'm like pretty, like I'm hoping for Hidden Strings or Vizier. And I felt like it was worth using Hidden Strings just to cast the Anger in this spot. Otherwise, if they play like a Good for Battle, then this can get out of hand. And I might as well try to pick it off while I can. Soul Scar Mage, you know, good for battle again. Take 4. So now I feel like I need to draw a way to make more mana, but with a Pour of the Pages, pretty good chance. Yeah, Pour of the Pages finds double Hidden Strings. So now I'm thinking like, okay, well I could just Hidden Strings, cast Ugin minus on 2. But then I remembered I boarded out Ultimatum. And with double strings, I'm able to go Fate of Wishes for Ultimatum and still have enough mana to cast it. Note that we only have 1 strings left in the deck, but since we do have more mana to work with, we don't need that third Sorry, that fourth, fifth, the extra hidden strings. So now we go to game 3 on the draw against Heroic, which is pretty sus. R7 kind of unplayable. It's pretty slow, doesn't have double Lotus Field. Oh, I'm going to replay that because the 6 and 5 were kind of interesting. So I open up a hand with triple Grazer, double Ascendancy Siege, and I think there might have been a reason to keep this. Just because, like, Grazers are really good. I have an extra look for Lotus Field. So I don't hate keeping this hand either. But in the end, I decided, like, it probably isn't good enough because, like, after the Grazers, like, they could block for a few turns, but they could just outgrow Grazers. My Grazers chump, and my hand doesn't do anything after that. So I end up going to 5. So my 5 finds double Lotus Field plus Anger of the Gods. So I put back... I'm trying to figure out what to put back here. And it's probably Ultimatum plus a land. And I decided to put back Yavimaya Coast because I can turn 1 Recovery and turn 2 play Sylvan Scrying without taking a point of damage. And if I draw another land, then I don't have to play Recovery. And I just can hold it for later on. But what I didn't realize was I actually got immediately punished because I drew Grazer. Yeah, exactly. So we drew Grazer, which is the punish there. Because now it puts us in an awkward situation with that. We can't cast Sylvan Scrying next turn for Thespian Stage. But I feel like I need to put this Lotus Field into play this turn because next turn I want to be able to cast Anger. So that puts us back a turn. I block Soulscar Mage instead of Favor Hoplite because if they have a card such as like Defiant Strike, I want them targeting the Soulscar Mage instead of Favor Hoplite because next turn it's still within range of Anger of the Gods. They play Arcanist holding up 1 mana. I'm just like hoping they don't have God's Willing. Of course they do. So now I'm like pretty far behind. They Borrow Try the Favor Hoplite, so I'm pretty dead. Good for Battle would have been even worse. Yeah. If they had a Good for Battle, then I don't think I'm ever winning this game. I'm thinking if I needed to, like... I draw Thespian Siege for turn, and I think if I want to scrying for Blast Zone, or if I should just play the Thespian Siege out. I figured I'd rather just try to develop the Lotus Field and try to kill him the turn after. Because if I do go for Blast Zone, then it's delaying, like, I'm delaying myself like 2-3 turns, and I'd rather just try to go for it next turn. They play Rolling Vortex, which is pretty bad for me because that turns off Ultimatum lines. It also turns off Omniscient lines. So I'm drawing pretty thin. So I end up copy, and last card's just Boros Charm for lethal, so nothing ever mattered. But that's kind of how the matchup plays out, is that we're a bit too slow in setting up, and they're able to just get under us. And yeah, we end up losing in the semis, but we got the invite to the mock showcase, the Pioneer Showcase or whatever. So that's pretty exciting. It's my first time qualified for Pioneer. Do you think this is a Tron deck? In a way, I guess you can say it is a Tron deck, because, like, you are looking for, like, A plus B. But it's probably closer to a combo deck than it is a Tron deck. But yeah, hopefully this was good and helpful, and I will probably try to put this up on YouTube. So in case if anyone wants to watch it, it's also good for like VOD review for myself later on.